After 5 years of dating my girlfriend, she has always been lukewarm. I asked her if she no longer loved me. Sherry Kelley smiled and denied it. You are my white moonlight. How could I not love you? I believed her. I treated Sherry Kelley even better. Until the company's annual meeting, I saw the rival. The boy whom Sherry Kelley used as my substitute. Sherry's eyes turned red in an instant, filled with tenderness. It's you who came back, right? I didn't step forward to interrupt. I thought everything should come to an end. Ding. Story Shots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. Everyone said that Sherry Kelley and I were a match made in heaven. Childhood sweethearts. Having known each other since youth, we spent the longest time together, being the most unforgettable presence in each other's lives. I love Sherry Kelley, so I was extremely certain that she liked me too. Even when someone tentatively mentioned that during the 2 years I studied abroad, Sherry Kelley had supported a substitute who resembled me, I never wavered in my feelings. Until today, at the company's annual meeting, I saw for the first time how the always calm and indifferent Miss Kelley had changed her expression after years of sharp dealings in the business world. Her eyes were slightly red, and her beautiful face was filled with sorrow, as if she couldn't believe it and was even more afraid of disturbing the man before her. It's you who came back, right? I missed you so much. In front of everyone, Sherry Kelley threw herself into the man's arms. All eyes turned to me with strange looks. They all knew that today's event was ostensibly the Kelley Group's annual meeting, but in reality, it was also a signal of the impending marriage alliance between the Smith family and the Kelley family. My face turned pale. My body swayed unsteadily. My nails dug deep into my flesh, but I was oblivious, still staring intently at the two people in front of me, who were tightly embracing and kissing as if no one else was around. It felt as though everyone around us had become a backdrop to this relationship. I said nothing and didn't step forward to interrupt. I straightened my back, not wanting to show any embarrassment in front of others, and turned to leave the banquet hall. Sherry Kelley suddenly didn't like me anymore. She had fallen for my substitute. Throughout our 5 years together, she had always been indifferent to me. I had once tentatively asked her if she didn't love me anymore. Sherry Kelley smiled and denied it, the warm yellow light shining on her beautiful face as she threw herself into my arms. You are my white moonlight. How could I not love you? Yes, we had known each other since childhood, growing up together, with each memory filled with our presence. The whole world knew we were a couple, but her scale had long since tipped. In the 2nd year after I went abroad, she took the initiative to support a boy who looked similar to me at a bar. I knew nothing. During the 2 years I studied abroad, she kept me in the dark. I stared blankly at the thin paper in my hand, as if it weighed 1,000 pounds. It was just delivered by my secretary, detailing Sherry Kelley's experiences after I left for my studies. While I was desperately studying knowledge and preparing to inherit the family business, she was indulging in the pleasures of life back home. With her substitute, she was living it up. But when I returned home during my breaks to see her, she transformed back into the innocent and shy childhood friend in front of me. Caleb Smith, I missed you so much. Why don't you come back to see me more often? She pouted, her face full of spoiled mischief. I like you, you need to work harder. Hurry up and inherit the company, so you can have the right to marry me. I believed her words. I compressed what should have been 4 years of studying abroad into 2. During my time back in the country, we were intimately close, whispering sweet nothings to each other. She would cook and do household chores for me, tempering her rich girl temper. She would kiss me intimately while I was attending online classes, asserting her claim over me. At our most affectionate moments, we lay in a cabin in Iceland watching the aurora, the sky streaked with brilliant colors, the atmosphere harmonious and tranquil. We exchanged glances, and the reflections in our eyes were only of each other, promising to be together forever. If one day you don't love me anymore, I won't be able to live, and you shouldn't think you can live either, Sherry Kelley said earnestly. I chuckled at her solemn expression. What about you? If I cheat, then punish me to die a terrible death. All our friends knew that our engagement was set in stone. In front of me, she spoke of her profound love. But when she turned around, she said to Raymond Saunders, Caleb Smith is just my childhood friend. You can rest assured to stay by my side. On the 10th day after returning home, I learned that she had been supporting a substitute who looked like me for a year. It was just the day before I returned home that the substitute disappeared without a word. Sherry Kelley cried in front of me, her eyes brimming with tears, constantly swearing. I just missed you too much, so I kept him around. Nothing happened between us. I just looked at his face and thought of you. Don't worry, I've sent him away. I love you. She threw herself into my arms. How foolish I was, naively believing her words. I ignored the fact that she could have video called me anytime or even traveled abroad to see me. After all, during those 2 years, I had made countless trips back and forth to see her. I gently held Sherry Kelley, still feeling sorry for neglecting her while I went to study management for the family business. Or rather, love makes people blind. I, who have fallen into the quagmire of love, never thought to investigate these matters. The more I think about it, the more my heart aches, like a drowning person tightly entangled in water plants, suffocating in the river, making it hard for me to breathe. At the high school reunion, I was the last to arrive at the private room. During this time, I kept myself busy with work, so I wouldn't think of Sherry Kelley and fall into hopeless sadness. Until today, when a partner gently reminded me, Mr. Smith, you're still young. Young people shouldn't put too much pressure on themselves. I looked in the mirror and realized how pale and frighteningly thin I had become. My once fitted suit now felt loose and empty. My expression was haggard, and my eyes were filled with a sense of despair. I decided to come to the reunion to unwind. But I didn't expect to see Sherry Kelley here, and she was accompanied by Raymond Saunders, both sitting in the most central position of the private room. Their fingers were tightly intertwined, incredibly intimate. The lively atmosphere in the room came to an abrupt halt when I entered. Last time at the annual meeting, there were many people, and word had spread that Sherry Kelley had brought her substitute back. Their intimacy had long circulated through our social circles. Everyone's eyes were darting between the three of us. I casually picked a spot to sit down. My heart was filled with unbearable bitterness. I kept drinking in silence, ignoring the strange looks from those around me and the burning gazes Sherry occasionally threw my way. It seemed she wanted to say something. Suddenly, there was an exclamation from beside me, and Sherry Kelley walked toward me. Can we talk? I lifted my foggy eyes, blurred from drinking too much, and noticed how radiant she had become during this time, glowing with brightness. Of course, her little lover had returned. Even if I deliberately ignored their news, I knew the two of them had reunited after a long separation, like a long-awaited rain after a drought, showing off their affection everywhere. Raymond Saunders' expression changed. As soon as Sherry Kelley left her seat, he was pushed to the ground by a classmate who couldn't stand him. The people in the private room were all my and Sherry's high school classmates, who had witnessed how we were together before. In the eyes of our classmates, he was just a male third party who had intruded on our relationship, so who would give him a good face? The classmate who pushed him stood up, pointed at him, and exclaimed in shock, "I didn't push you, you fell on your own." Raymond Saunders said nothing, just silently looked at Sherry Kelley, his eyes growing redder, his face as pale as paper. "Sister Sherry, you said you would always protect me." I grabbed Sherry Kelley's hand, for the first time showing a pleading look. "Sister Sherry." Raymond's voice was hoarse and weak. The next second, she harshly shook off my hand. Having drunk quite a bit, I lost my balance and fell onto the sofa. Sherry Kelley didn't look back as she rushed to Raymond Saunders' side, glaring fiercely at the stunned classmates. But upon seeing Raymond, her expression softened suddenly, her eyes filled with concern. "Are you okay? I will make you pay for this," she said coldly. I couldn't bear to watch, After all, it was the classmates standing up for me that caused this. I softly countered, let's not talk about whether he pushed or not, even if he did. Was it wrong for him to push Raymond? He was the intruder all along. Her eyes fixed on me, filled with hatred. I was stunned. Sherry Kelley had never looked at me with such eyes. She helped Raymond Saunders up from the ground and coldly glared at me. What right do you have to interfere in my relationship with Raymond? Raymond threw me a provocative smile. I opened my mouth but couldn't say a word. Sherry Kelley softly comforted Raymond and took him away, leaving me, her nominal fiancé, alone in the private room. As she left, she said, "You did this on purpose, didn't you? You wanted to embarrass Raymond. How could you become so malicious and unscrupulous? I regret it. I should have broken up with you 5 years ago. That way, I can reunite with Raymond openly." Sherry Kelley hated me. She firmly believed that the way the classmates treated Raymond in the private room that day was my doing. Otherwise, how would those classmates dare to bully Raymond in front of her? She decided to take revenge on me. Our families have been family friends for generations and have cooperated for years, to the extent that she blocked the biggest contract between our families. She called me, her tone indifferent, "Unless you come to the company to see me in person and apologize to Raymond, our cooperation can proceed normally. Otherwise, this cooperation will be canceled." I smiled bitterly and seriously explained again, "I won't do such a thing." And the classmates said he didn't push Raymond. Raymond fell on his own. Before I could finish, Sherry Kelley hung up the phone. She only believed what Raymond said. Reluctantly, I had to go to the Kelley group on Monday to find Sherry Kelley. But after waiting in the office for 3 hours, Sherry Kelley still didn't show up. However, Raymond Saunders appeared at the door, dressed in a custom suit, surrounded by luxury brands. His handsome features were filled with pride. What stood out even more was the dazzling diamond ring on his ring finger. My eyes darkened, and my heart ached. "Why are you here?" Raymond Saunders smiled and said, "When I was with Sherry, everyone said that a country bumpkin from the Northwest, couldn't compare to you. But now the one she loves is me, and the one who will soon be beneath my feet is also me. She said it herself. If it weren't for you two being childhood friends and you always being by her side, she wouldn't be with you. Last night, she was in my bed, calling my name the whole time. I felt a wave of nausea, as if I had swallowed a whole green fly, my temples thumping. I rubbed my forehead and said, 'Are you done? Since you invited me here for this, I'm leaving.' Raymond Saunders gripped my hand tightly, not letting me go, and when I tried to shake him off, he slapped me across the face. My left cheek stung. Without hesitation, I immediately retaliated with 2 even harder slaps. His fair face quickly turned red. Then there was the sound of someone falling behind me. Raymond Saunders fell heavily onto the thick carpet, his eyes immediately turning red as he looked pitifully at the door. "Sherry, your declaration of love for me is to let your fiancé bully me? He just hit me, called me worthless, said I'm not worthy of a lady like you, but I only came to bring him a glass of water, and he splashed it all over me. I might as well not come back at all, so I won't have to face this bullying anymore. You promised you would always protect me." I turned around, and Sherry Kelley's beautiful face was filled with anger. "I never thought you were this kind of person. Where's my childhood brother? How did you become so vicious?" A sudden wave of exhaustion washed over me that I had never felt before, watching Sherry comfort Raymond with concern. Raymond was beaming with joy at her attention. "How did he bully you, Raymond? You should pay him back double." Sherry Kelley said coldly, "Isn't that a bit too much?" Raymond said it wouldn't be good, but his eyes were filled with eagerness. I realized I could no longer find the old Sherry Kelley in her. The sweet girl who used to call me brother, went to school with me and shared everything was gone. She had become a stranger, a version of herself that I didn't recognize. I heard a crack, as if something had broken. "You called me here just to show off your love with your little lover?" I said coldly. "The contract between our families is off, You need to pay the breach of contract fee. She didn't respond, only signaled for Raymond to step forward and slap me. I grasped the ring on my ring finger, the one she had personally put on me when I proposed to Sherry on her birthday. After putting it on, whether at work during the day or while traveling, I never thought of taking it off. Even during this chaotic time, I didn't remove the ring. Now I slowly took off the ring. Sherry Kelley's expression changed. It gradually darkened. "You don't need to threaten me." She gritted her teeth and said, "Don't throw a tantrum. Even if you beg me later, I won't forgive you." I casually tossed the ring on the ground, where it sparkled brilliantly in the sunlight. I looked at Sherry Kelley seriously and said, "It's over. The engagement is canceled." Sherry blurted out, "I don't agree." Raymond's face showed unwillingness and resentment, his complexion turning ashen, yet he forced a smile. "Sherry, that's perfect. We're getting married. Didn't you propose to me yesterday?" Sherry didn't say anything, just stared at me intently. I spoke each word clearly. "I think you're dirty. You're not worthy of me. I wish you and your substitute a long and happy life. Don't ever break up. Sherry Kelley, I no longer love you." Saying that made me feel a wave of relief. Letting go of years of feelings took only a moment. I would no longer feel hurt for her. After I unilaterally announced the end of our engagement, Raymond Saunders began to frequently appear in trending topics as a rising star actor. It seemed he was trying to provoke me. The whole world knew that Sherry Kelley was promoting Raymond, helping him establish himself in the entertainment industry at any cost. This was all because some mutual friends mocked Raymond, calling him a kept man, saying he could only appear in the second-generation circle due to Miss Kelley. Sherry got furious and scolded him harshly at the banquet, disregarding the elder's presence. A mutual friend had a dark expression. "You're really desperate. Go ahead and act out. Caleb has already dumped you. You're the only blind one who treats Raymond like a treasure. Just wait to regret it." Sherry Kelley smiled with a forced grin. "I won't regret it." Back at the company, Sherry vowed to elevate Raymond to a high position, making him worthy of her. She spent countless resources and money through her secretary. Raymond accepted everything. He was good-looking, and in a short time, he became a hot new star in the entertainment industry. He gained many enthusiastic fans, all calling him the new rising star of 2024, destined to become a top idol. For a time, he was in the spotlight, the envy of everyone. In the middle of the night, while I was working overtime in my study, I suddenly received a call from Sherry Kelley. Her voice was laced with drunkenness, her tone hoarse. "Caleb Smith, why didn't you come to pick me up? I got drunk at the bar and waited for you for so long. But you didn't come. Come pick me up and take me home, Caleb." The background music on the other end of the phone was noisy, clearly from a bar. I rubbed my tired brow. "We've already broken up, Sherry Kelley. You should get your new boyfriend to pick you up." I suddenly remembered that, in the past, if Sherry Kelley had a drink at night, I would have rushed to pick her up without hesitation, caring for her tenderly. Sherry Kelley seemed to recall the past as well. She said sharply, "Raymond Saunders is by my side. He won't affect your position. You will always be my fiancé. Are you still going to act like we broke up? I just made a small mistake, one that every woman would make. Can't we reconcile? I want to drink the hangover soup you make." "No," I interrupted her. "Sherry Kelley, we've broken up. You betrayed our relationship first, and I won't forgive you. If I were you, I would have no face to contact me again." The other end fell silent, and I could only hear Sherry Kelley's heavy breathing. "You'll regret this." She cursed and hung up the phone. I opened my phone, and the top trending topic was Raymond Saunders being intimate with the female lead on set. Many fans were already gathering to comment. I thought, Raymond Saunders doesn't love Sherry Kelley as much as he claims. After the engagement was canceled, Raymond had actively reached out to me. I had received an audio message from him at dawn. When I opened it, I heard Sherry Kelley's gasping voice. The sounds were intimate and ambiguous, occasionally mixed with a man's moans. "Sherry, do you love me? I love you. For these 5 years, I've always missed you. I felt a wave of nausea, truly gagging. Then, Raymond seemed to have sent the wrong message, saying, "Sorry, I sent it to the wrong person. Mr. Smith won't mind, right? Sherry likes this kind of stimulation in bed. Mr. Smith should learn more." I could no longer hold back and asked him what he wanted. Raymond replied, "You won't reconcile with Sherry, right? She is mine now, and you won't go back to her, will you?" He sent a picture of a sleeping Sherry Kelley, the blanket slipping down, revealing her smooth back, dotted with kiss marks. I suddenly felt that my indecision during this time was like a joke. While I was struggling with painful memories, she had long discarded the sweet past and was being lovey-dovey with her new lover. She might even be mocking me behind my back. I felt sorry for my past self. Then came the surging anger and hatred. "You don't know, do you? When you went abroad, I did this with her countless times. She said you were boring, too gentle, and she was already fed up with you. She likes excitement." With every word I read, my breathing became calmer. I thought of the 5 years we were together. I had taken care of Sherry Kelley meticulously, but her attitude towards me was always indifferent. I worked overtime, drank, and ended up in the hospital. She never came to see me even once during my 2-week stay. I had seen her cling to me, her heart filled with thoughts of me, and I easily noticed that she no longer loved me as before. I had asked her the reason, but she always changed the subject or insisted that she loved me. Turned out that for these 5 years, she had someone else in her heart. But if she had told me clearly on the day I returned home, saying she had fallen for someone else, I wouldn't have stayed with her. By the end, my last bit of softness towards Sherry Kelley had been completely drained. I typed, "I won't turn back, I don't care. You two are locked in. I hope you end up with nothing in the end." Raymond was satisfied and automatically ignored my previous words. "Remember what you said. Sherry Kelley can only be mine." I prepared to sell the house I had bought for Sherry Kelley. This was a house I had started preparing for in our 3rd year of dating. I had been planning to marry her, and the decor was all designed according to Sherry Kelley's preferences, intending to move in after the engagement, and I had already bought quite a few things for it. Furniture, luggage, jewelry. But Raymond's return made me see this disgusting scene of their relationship. Since Sherry Kelley and I had broken up, the house had to be sold. After packing up the things inside, I would wait for the agent to come and list it for sale. Out of sight, out of mind. I went to clean up after work, but when I opened the door, I was hit with the smell of alcohol. My heart sank, and I signaled for my secretary and driver to follow me. What greeted my eyes was a living room full of empty bottles. Sherry Kelley, reeking of alcohol, poked her head out from the sofa, her gaze hazy as it met mine. "Caleb Smith, what are you doing here?" I retorted, "How did you get in?" Sherry Kelley's eyes turned red immediately. "You brought me here last time. I recorded my fingerprint. Did you forget?" I turned to signal my secretary to call the police. But Sherry quickly lunged at me, tightly hugging my waist, her voice choked. "You really don't love me anymore? Have you given up on me? You clearly loved me so much before. We were childhood sweethearts for over 20 years. I just made a small mistake that all women make. Can't you forgive me?" But after being childhood sweethearts for so many years and dating for so long, finding out about her betrayal made me feel even more disgusted. She was in tears, her face innocent. "You're so petty. Can't you give me another chance?" The secretary and driver behind me fell silent, staring at me tightly, afraid that I would forgive her just like that due to my infatuation. Everyone knew how much I used to love Sherry Kelley. As long as she called me in the middle of the night, I would drop everything to pick her up when she was drunk. No matter how busy I was, I would personally cook and bring her chicken soup. Not to mention anniversaries and holidays, I always brought her gifts in large and small packages. Countered, "What about Raymond Saunders? But he loves me too. I can't break up with him. Why can't I have two people who love me the same?" She showed a look of confusion. "Now Raymond wants me to marry him, but I actually don't want to. I only want to marry you." The secretary and driver were speechless, exchanging looks that seemed to say, "What an idiot." A wave of calm washed over me. I had long known she would say something like this. It was only after the breakup that I realized Sherry Kelley's true nature was selfish. She wanted it all and wouldn't cherish what she got. I slowly pried her fingers apart, and in her incredulous gaze, I said, "But I find you disgusting. Sherry Kelley, where do you think you still deserve me?" The secretary and driver were about to applaud me. I smiled, and not long after, the police arrived, taking Sherry Kelley away for trespassing. At the police station, Sherry's father and mother looked at me with guilt written all over their faces. I had grown up with Sherry Kelley. They had watched me grow up too. After a long silence, Sherry's father said, "Caleb, I'm sorry. It's our failure to educate Sherry. We owe you an apology." I shook my head. I couldn't forgive Sherry Kelley. She had betrayed our years of love, making me lose face in front of everyone. Clearly, she could have privately told me she no longer loved me or said she had fallen for someone else when I returned to the country. She did neither. She enjoyed my kindness but then turned around and accused me of being too gentle with her, lacking any passion. The Kelley family didn't bail Sherry Kelley out, saying they wanted to teach her a lesson. As I left, I glanced at Sherry's father, who had aged considerably due to the recent events, and said pointedly, "One partnership ruined, having multiple backup plans is really necessary." Raymond Saunders was eager to marry Sherry Kelley. But for some reason, even though Sherry had already proposed to him, she still refused to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register their marriage or hold a wedding. Raymond was anxious, as if something was forcing him from behind. Clearly, at this moment, his career in the entertainment industry had stabilized, and slowly discussing marriage would have been the best choice for him. After all, his fan base was still unstable. Yet he didn't do that. Instead, he contacted paparazzi privately and leaked their intimate photos. In an instant, the romance between the rising star and the daughter of a wealthy family was trending everywhere. Raymond's big fans were celebrating below, and many casual fans also started to bless them. "The young lady is the perfect match for our brother. Sherry Kelley is Raymond's fiancée. Doesn't that mean his identity is also not simple? How could we mere mortals witness the young master of the capital boldly entering the entertainment industry?" The rumors about their secret engagement escalated rapidly. But strangely, Sherry Kelley didn't come out to respond. Raymond rose to fame quickly, and his fans had already begun to criticize several stars in the same phase, and rival fans were dissatisfied, mocking him as merely a gigolo trying to climb the social ladder. Sherry Kelley naturally couldn't respond. She was stuck in the detention center, where she had to stay for half a month before she could be released. When she finally returned home, she faced the accusations of her father and mother. Sherry Kelley felt very wronged. I had always held her in my palm, giving her meticulous care for her emotions, and during her time in the detention center, she had suffered and struggled. The living conditions were poor, and the food was terrible. But when her parents faced her return home, there was no concern, only reprimands. "Sherry Kelley, have you lost your mind? A small celebrity is just for fun. But you made it public, embarrassing the Kelley family? Caleb is such a good kid. He's considerate and has strong work abilities. You don't like him? Did Raymond Saunders fill your head with nonsense? You really are insatiable. You'll eat anything. You need to break up with your little lover immediately." Sherry Kelley's rebellious side flared up. With red-rimmed eyes and a face full of anger, she shouted at her father, "What's wrong with liking Raymond Saunders? Is it wrong to love someone?" Her father looked at her with disappointment, and her mother wanted to persuade her again. But Sherry Kelley covered her ears and ran away. After running out of the house, Sherry Kelley began frantically calling me. But I had already blocked her. When I woke up in the morning and was about to wash up, I received a strange text. "Are you ignoring me? Fine. Then I'll marry Raymond Saunders, and you'll never be able to get me back. You'll regret it." My heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, in the morning, Sherry Kelley publicly announced on her blog, as the eldest daughter of the Kelley family, that she and Raymond Saunders were dating and planning to get married. Their relationship quickly became a trending topic online. The previous mockery of Raymond by his fans was met with a swift rebuttal. For a time, the atmosphere was lively and bustling. Within just a few hours, the couple garnered a significant number of fans, who flooded the official announcement on Weibo with blessings. Friends who had previously mocked Sherry Kelley and Raymond Saunders at the banquet messaged me on WeChat. Has Sherry Kelley gone mad? She didn't even publicly acknowledge her relationship with that pretty boy before, and now she's made it a big deal. Can the Kelley family and shareholders really accept a love-struck president? She can't just assume her position as the only daughter means she can act recklessly. If I were her, I'd definitely wait until I was more established before going public. In the current situation, which company would dare to work with someone so irrational? What if she can't protect herself and ends up losing everything? Our group chat with Sherry Kelley exploded. More than one friend asked me what was going on. I got tired of explaining, so I simply posted on my Moments, stating that Sherry Kelley and I had ended our engagement, and it was her freedom to like whoever she wanted. Raymond Saunders switched to a new number to provoke me. Caleb Smith, in the end, I still won. Even if you're a wealthy president with a distinguished background, what does it matter? Your fiancé only loves me and is going to marry me. I casually replied, oh, she's the one who doesn't want me. If you like her, keep chasing her. Raymond was so angry he almost hung up. I kindly reminded him, I heard that couples in the entertainment industry have to appear on a reality show to test their relationship. Sherry Kelley wouldn't have agreed to be on it with you, would she? He gritted his teeth. Sherry loves me. She'll definitely agree. At 6 o'clock in the evening, Raymond Saunders and Sherry Kelley publicly announced that they would be appearing on a recently popular dating reality show. I looked down at the news, my emotions completely calm. They didn't realize that, given their questionable morals, the more low-key they were, the better it would be for them. I messaged my secretary. Is the information ready? The secretary replied immediately. Yes, it's ready. I revealed my first genuine smile in quite some time. Taking advantage of Sherry Kelley's reckless behavior was crucial. After all, it was Sherry Kelley who set aside feelings, toyed with me, and even threatened to cut my contract. This period had been unusually calm, and I was diligently handling work. Without having to manage Sherry Kelley's trivial matters anymore, my work efficiency increased significantly, and even the stock of the Smith family rose several points. Soon, it was time for the couple's first recording of the dating show, which would be broadcast live online. Sherry Kelley and Raymond Saunders needed to answer questions from the audience and the host before greeting everyone and participating in the subsequent recording. On the day of the broadcast, they wore matching outfits. Sherry Kelley looked stunning while Raymond Saunders was tall and handsome, exuding a natural intimacy. The live stream was quickly taken over by their fans, who flooded the comments. Look at this son and daughter. Such a perfect pair. I've decided. They are going to be my future mom and dad. When are they planning to have a baby? I want to be their daughter. The show quickly started, and the host diligently asked, when did you two get together? We've known each other for 6 years. It was love at first sight. Raymond held Sherry's hand, smiling at her with affection. We reunited recently and realized we still had feelings for each other, so we got back together. Fans began to celebrate. Long-lost reunion plus rekindled romance plus meeting at the peak of our lives. This is so sweet. The host's expression changed as if he received some news, looking at the couple with a strange expression. Soon, the comments started to flood with questions. Raymond and Sherry seemed oblivious, gazing into each other's eyes, reminiscing about their sweet past. The studio fell silent until someone in the audience raised a significant question. Did you get together while you had a fiancé? Sherry's face turned pale instantly, panic flashing in her eyes as she looked at the camera. Watching the live stream, I smiled. I had asked Raymond before if he would still love Sherry if she had nothing. Raymond avoided answering, but I thought soon I would know the answer. Rewinding back a few hours, the secretary had already gathered evidence that Sherry Kelley had been supporting Raymond Saunders during our relationship, and after Raymond returned to the country, they quickly got back together without considering her engagement, leaving a trail of sweet memories. Thanks to the evidence Raymond sent me in the middle of the night, I wouldn't send him the video, but I saved all the screenshots of our chat records. His provocative words were particularly clear. As the dating show went live and public opinion peaked, the secretary sent out these pieces of evidence. If Sherry Kelley were still the heiress of the Kelley family, the public relations team would have suppressed the rumors. But now that she had publicly announced her marriage plans with Raymond Saunders, she was already out of the game. I heard that Sherry's parents were actively preparing for a backup plan, seeing their only daughter as a love-struck fool who was oblivious to the situation. During this period, the turmoil caused by Raymond Saunders was significant. First, he was exposed for a wealthy romance, but the young lady took a long time to respond. Later, the two publicly hinted at a possible marriage and even appeared on the hottest dating reality show, making them the center of attention online. The scandal was the biggest of all. There were traces everywhere of his fans questioning him. "You said you were a rich second generation, but you turned out to be a gigolo, trying to climb the social ladder as a mistress. I hate mistresses the most. How could I support someone who fell from grace so completely?" Raymond Saunders' career in the entertainment industry was, to put it bluntly, over. Both of them were mercilessly criticized and trended on social media, with the most heartfelt reactions coming from their shippers, who had just entered the fandom a week prior when the main couple caused a major scandal. Taking advantage of this opportunity, while the entire internet sympathized with me, the man wearing the green hat, the company launched a new product. Before long, it topped the sales charts. In the studio, the two hurriedly left, and before they departed, they had to pay a hefty penalty for breaching the contract of the show. When Sherry Kelley saw the news on her phone, her expression changed. "How dare you provoke Caleb Smith? Who gave you the guts?" Raymond Saunders softly sobbed. "I love you too much to leave you, so I wanted to hold on to you tightly." After all, he was Sherry Kelley's beloved man, and she easily forgave him, wanting to take him home to show her parents. When I heard the news from my assistant, I sighed. As expected, Sherry Kelley would always choose the most foolish path. When she saw the trending topics, she should have realized that the Kelley family's public relations hadn't intervened. What she should have done was go home and seek forgiveness from her parents, not bring a man home to add fuel to the fire. Sherry Kelley was kicked out of the Kelley family. Mr. Kelley was furious, saying that from now on, he had no daughter. He had given her enough chances, and since Sherry Kelley had chosen to fall from grace, she could forget about inheriting the family fortune. But Mrs. Kelley was soft-hearted and still gave Sherry a card. Sherry Kelley moved into a rental apartment with Raymond Saunders, and the two began living together. It should have been a romantic scene, as they finally had no barriers and could live freely together. After all, I still remembered Sherry Kelley crying and saying, "Is it wrong for me to love him and want to be with him?" But less than half a month later, they had fought several times. I didn't pay much attention to their news. It was all updates from our mutual friends. Previously, Sherry Kelley had mocked several friends for Raymond Saunders, and everyone was eager to watch the drama unfold. From time to time, I received messages about the two. Sherry Kelley used all the money on the card to pay the breach of contract fine to the production team, but it wasn't enough, so in the end, her mom helped her out. Her mom then urged her to come home, and they ended up in a huge argument that sent her mom to the hospital. Raymond, the gigolo, is somewhat reliable. At least he's been supporting her during this time. They had a fight. Sherry Kelley complained that Raymond Saunders didn't cook well enough. Then she went to cook herself and ended up burning the kitchen. They had a huge argument, and it feels like they're about to break up. Wasn't the young lady of the Kelley family someone who only ate at Michelin-starred restaurants? Now she's actually going grocery shopping herself. It seems like they're about to break up. They've started getting physical. After sending these messages, they advised me, Caleb, don't let love cloud your judgment and go forgiving her. Of course not. My career was already keeping me busy enough. How could I possibly repeat the same mistakes? But I didn't expect Sherry Kelley to block me at the company. It had been a long time since I last saw her, and she looked much more haggard. She was no longer dressed in her luxurious suits but in a simple white shirt, her hair messy, and her expression weary, a sight I had never seen before. I knew she had been trying to return to the Kelley family to plead with Mrs. Kelley. But with Mrs. Kelley's baby almost due, and having missed the best time to reconcile, it was too late. Mrs. Kelley was hospitalized due to her anger, yet Sherry hadn't shown up even once. The Kelley family was already utterly disappointed in her. She blocked me in the underground parking lot I had to pass through after work, suddenly appearing from the corner. Upon seeing me, her eyes turned red, and she tried to rush over to hug me, but my instinctive step back stopped her in her tracks. Have you abandoned me too? Sherry Kelley looked at me sadly. I was speechless. I've long since abandoned you. What if I say I don't want Raymond Saunders anymore? She gritted her teeth and said, I'll only have you from now on, loving only you. Can we go back to how we were before? Raymond Saunders is a liar. He doesn't love me at all. He's a strategist who wants me to love him completely before he can go home. Tears slid down Sherry Kelley's fair cheeks, and while she looked pitiful, I could no longer feel soft-hearted. Under my expressionless gaze, Sherry Kelley panicked and blurted out, I was deceived by Raymond Saunders before. 5 years ago, he left without a word, and I thought you had contacted him, which made him leave me. I didn't know, so I've been distant towards you for the past 5 years. I was so angry I laughed. I had considered many reasons for why our 5 years together felt so faint, thinking it was because she no longer loved me, but I never imagined she resented me for causing Raymond Saunders to leave. Then shouldn't you be happy now? You can be with him forever, and no one will stop you. I took a deep breath to calm the anger boiling inside me and tried to walk past her. But I don't love him anymore. Sherry Kelley's bright black eyes were filled with tears, and she looked at me with red eyes. Now I realize that I love you. We grew up together, and spending so much time together made me think my feelings for you were just attachment. Can we go back to the beginning? Help me return to the Kelley family, and let's get married again. Okay? No. I forced a smirk, my face full of sarcasm. Where do you get the idea that I would still like you, like someone who cheated on me? I stopped liking you a long time ago. Don't be pathetic. Before leaving, I called my secretary to let the security of this building know to keep an eye out and never let Sherry Kelley in again. Sherry Kelley stood there in shock as I made the call, tears flowing more and more from the corners of her eyes. In the past, I would have wiped her tears away with compassion, but now I just coldly mocked. Stop crying. There will be plenty of places in the future for you to cry. The last time I heard about Sherry Kelley was from a news article forwarded to me by a friend. Raymond Saunders killed her. Raymond Saunders was the one pursuing her, needing Sherry Kelley's unconditional love to survive. As long as they got married, Raymond could return to the real world. But the daily grind of life had gradually worn down their love, and they fought every day. After the passion faded, life became bleak. Sherry Kelley already had a younger sister, and there was no longer a place for her in the Kelley family. As death loomed closer and the time to return to the original world seemed endlessly far away, Raymond began to lose his mind. Once again, when Sherry Kelley accused Raymond of not taking care of her, and she regretted ever falling for him, Raymond accidentally choked her to death. Watching the news, for some reason, tears streamed down my face. I remembered when I was with Sherry Kelley in Iceland, she swore, "If I cheat, I'll die." At that time, she was already supporting Raymond. Those who betray genuine feelings should swallow 1,000 needles. Brother Caleb, I won't betray you. Vows are the most unreliable things in this world. But it's okay. I focus on my career. Love is not a supplement. Money and power are the real supplements.